the Kellogg's brothers, John Harvey Kellogg, where he's out there, circumcising females and saying we can't eat meat because it's going to make you have sex and make you have lust and masturbate. This is all like this religious stuff. And then it got
people don't know that, but they should know that he developed this cereal, this bland cereal, to discourage masturbation, which is one of the wildest things I have ever heard.
Yeah.
Dr. Sean Baker appeared on the Joe Rogan show, where they discussed the dangers of processed foods and sugars and the influence that big corporations have over the USDA. They explained how these companies place their paid representatives on the USDA board and publish misleading studies, claiming that ultra-processed foods are actually healthy. Let's get into it.
Yeah, that guy was a wacko, man. He was in there dude. He was giving himself like high-pressure enemas every day. It was just like fucking 20 gallons a minute enemas because he thought that was something. Yeah, he was a wacko. He was a really nutty guy. You read about some of his
20-gallon enemas?
It was some ridiculous, like super high capacity, like a super soaker on steroids thing. Just,
are enemas bad for you? Because I've always wondered if your internal gut flora is important, and it is. Isn't that getting washed out?
I think to some degree it is. I don't know that anybody's really looked at it from that angle, but I think in some cases, like some people's got some problems with constipation, it could be helpful, but I don't think it's generally a healthy practice for most. But I know there's people that are like putting weird stuff up their butt. Man, it's just kind of like
I think it probably feels good.
It might
flushed out.
It might.
Well, it also makes you see everything come out of you. I guess I've never done it, but apparently there's a tube, and they look at it. Oh, look, here's your problems.
Yeah, it's kind of like these. There's this thing these crazy vegans do where they consume like this charcoal and this jelly and stuff, and this kind of gruel mix, and then it kind of like fills up their intestines, and they poop it all out, and they say that's clearing out all my intestines. I can't remember what they call it, but it's like there's these crazy videos where they're just pulling all this like gelatinous black stuff out of their butt, but it's like you just ate all that stuff. That's what's coming out of you. It's not
look, all the toxins.
Yeah, exactly.
You just ate that, stupid.
You just ate the same toxins.
People are obsessed with that term, like releasing the toxins.
Yeah.
They really think that that's what's happening when you sweat. You get in the sauna, you're releasing the toxins. Like when you're sweating, your body's regulating your heat temperature. Yeah, that's what's going on. You know what clears your toxins? Your fucking liver.
Yeah.
That's what that thing's for.
Yeah, liver, kidneys. Yeah, we got a pretty good detox system for sure. You don't need all the smoothie, juice fast detoxes. It's like some people are detoxing when their teeth fall out. They're detoxing their teeth.
Well, the other thing is with the smoothie thing is, my God, you're getting so much sugar, and you're getting it in a weird form.
Yeah.
If you're eating fruit smoothies, you're getting sugar in a very unnatural form. Fruit juices, we used to think that fruit juices are really good for you. Most doctors would agree that fruit juices are very high in sugar.
Yeah.
And to get it in that sort of liquid dose where it just goes right into your fucking bloodstream and your liver, that's a lot of sugar, man.
Well, you think about it because, Joe, you're out hunting all the time, and when you're going out and you're like, if I had to get food out here, what would I have available to eat? I can tell you what you wouldn't have all this processed food, but particularly like.
Here's the thing. It's not even food anymore, what they're selling us. It's chemicals. They've taken real food and replaced it with processed junk that isn't natural. And it's not just unhealthy, it's toxic. We're ingesting chemicals, digesting chemicals, and it's poison. It's insane that they're allowed to get away with this.
Powder. Like we make powdered sugar, we make powdered flour, and we combine them together, but we've changed the nature of the food so much that it's interesting. I saw Darius Mozaffarian, who's a researcher at Tufts, he's the guy that put out the study that says, or was part of the study that said, Lucky Charms are healthier than eggs. You saw that last year. That's total BS, right?
Hilarious.
But one thing he did point out was that over the last 20 years or so, we haven't really been eating much more calories than we were. Like from the 1960s to about 2000, we ate more calories, and maybe that explains why everybody got fat. But since that time, we really haven't eaten much more, but we've eaten so much more ultra-processed food. And in fact, right now, the U.S. diet is close to 70% ultra-processed, which you think about, it's like crazy, and our kids are getting fat. But one thing that's interesting is because you're talking about the microbiome, right, our gut flora. When you eat like whole food, it goes farther down your digestive tract, and then our microbiome actually consumes some of that. Up to 22% of our calories can be consumed by our microbiome. But when you're just eating sugar, it goes straight in you. So those calories, your gut microbiome doesn't get any of that. So it's like you're absorbing more calories.
When I switch to eating real foods, natural foods, whole foods, like fruits and vegetables, I feel so much better. Less brain fog, more energy, no headaches. And here's the thing, there's no chemicals in those foods. It's just real nutrition. That's the way it should be.
So just by changing the quality of the food, you're changing how many calories you absorb. And that is what some people say is part of what leads to this obesity thing. But we know, like, for instance, well, here's another thing. The USDA came out with a study, like, I don't know, 3 months ago. 91% processed food diet is healthy. You know, this is what they're pushing, trying to get us, because they're trying to position us to say.
What was this study?
This was the USDA put it out. It was probably, I think it was the Nova study. I might have that on there, Jamie, but it's basically because there's starting to be backlash against ultra processed foods. I mean, like South America is starting to ban this stuff, which I think, you know, I'm not for banning food. I mean, I think that gets into, you know, freedom of choice and things like that. So you shouldn't ban. Just like you can still smoke if you want to. You know, it's not the best for you, so you don't want to do that. But at the same point, you know, they're saying like this stuff is, there's a lot of backlash. And like people like myself and probably you and others just saying, look, this ultra processed garbage is literally killing us. It's making us crazy. It's making us depressed. All these people with mental health disorders, a lot of that nutrition is part of that, and we can talk about that. But you know what they're seeing is there's a backlash against that. Yeah, so that's a Nova
Dietary guidelines meet Nova, developing a menu for a healthy diet.
Let's be real. The companies making ultra-processed foods don't care about our health. They care about profits, and they do whatever it takes to make cheap, addictive products, even if it means using harmful chemicals that can lead to serious health issues like high blood pressure and cholesterol problems.
Pattern using ultra processed foods.
So they're basically saying, hey, how do we make people eat more processed food and make it quote unquote healthy? And they showed that they could make a diet that's like 91% ultra processed foods and still be quote unquote healthy.
Look at what it says here. It says the purpose of this proof of concept study was to determine the feasibility of building a menu that aligns with the recommendations for a healthy dietary pattern from the 2020 DGA and includes a over 80%. What is that? KCAL? Kilocalories from UPF, ultra processed foods, as defined by Nova, designed to accomplish this objective. We first developed a list of foods that fit Nova criteria for UPF, ultra processed foods, fit within a dietary patterns in the 2020 DGA, and are commonly consumed by Americans. We then use these foods to develop a what is that? 7D. What does that mean?
7 day.
7-day 2,000 kilocalorie menu modeled on the My Pyramid sample menus, and assess this menu for nutrient content as well as for diet quality using the Healthy Eating Index. The results in the ultra-processed DGA menu that was created, 91% of the kilocalories were from ultra-processed food or Nova Category 4. The HEI 215 score was 86 out of a possible 100 points. The sample menu did not achieve a perfect score due primarily to excess sodium and an insufficient amount of whole grains. This menu provided adequate amounts of all macro and micronutrients except vitamin D, vitamin E, and choline. Conclusions. Healthy dietary patterns can include most of their energy from ultra-processed foods, still receive a high diet quality score, and contain adequate amounts of most macro and micronutrients. Boy.
Right. So remember, USDA, the guys that go there, they leave USDA and they go sit on the board of directors at Nabisco and PepsiCo. And so this is really, I think, what this is. It's positioning us as a society to accept that ultra-processed foods are our food. It's really human pet food. I mean, you see what happens to our pets.
Yes.
And everybody's fat, so we're going to say, well, it's still okay. If it's okay if you eat your human dog chow or your human chow.
So what can we do about it? First, stop eating ultra-processed foods. Second, share this video. Tell your friends, your family. Would you feed harmful chemicals to your child? Of course not. But that's essentially what these companies are doing. It's time we take control of what we put in our bodies. I really want to hear what you think. Leave your comments below. And if this video opened your eyes, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this. Together, we can stay strong, keep moving, and most importantly, stay informed. Enjoy the rest of the video.
Just keep doing that. Don't ask questions. And oh, by the way, here's an Ozempic shot or a semaglutide shot. Semaglutide shot will give you to kind of keep you chilled out. So it's really, I mean, it's almost sinister in a way.
It's very bizarre. It's very bizarre that this isn't challenged. And that shows you how captured our food industry really is. The fact that that's not challenged, the fact that our health guidelines aren't set on, hey, what you should be eating is what human beings are designed to eat in nature.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
which is real food.
I mean, my opinion on dietary guidelines, because we have a USDA that meets every 5 years. And by the way, so the USDA dietary guidelines panel, did you see there's a physician from Harvard named Fatima Stamford, right? And she went on 60 Minutes and said, obesity has nothing to do with diet. It has nothing to do with exercise. It's all disease and genetic, and there's nothing you can literally do. And she's also sponsored by Novo Nordisk, who makes Ozempic, right? And she's on there. And she's also a member of the U.S. Dietary Guidelines panel. So 95% of the people that sit on the U.S. Dietary Guidelines panel today, for this next one where they're going to come up for the 2025 guidelines, all have financial ties to processed food companies.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you think about it, it's just like, this is crazy. So
wild.
So if you go to like Brazil's dietary guidelines, or at least the one they released a few years ago, it was like, here's what you should do. Cook at home, don't eat processed foods, and eat with people around that you love. And that is their recommendation, which I think is better than our guidelines because, I mean, if left to our own, I mean, we are now being told we got to eat all this garbage, and it's just making us sick. It's crazy.